Hello, people at home. I'm Chris Pratt. Thank you for joining me. I'm here with my guest, Colin Trevorrow.
You said it right, finally.
Trevorrow, like tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
For all these years. Welcome, Chris Pratt. I have a stack of questions. Tell me how you feel about me.
Yeah, how do you feel about me?
What did you feel when you were presented with the opportunity to be in a Jurassic film? Didn't you predict this in 2009?
Actually, I did.
Yeah.
I did predict
it. It's a real
thing.
thing.
Roll the clip.
Hi, my name's Chris Pratt, and I'll be shooting footage behind the scenes.
When I was doing behind the scenes for Parks and Recreation, there's this video, you can find it online. I essentially made a joke, because at the time it was a complete and utter joke to think that Steven Spielberg would be interested in me for Jurassic Park 4. I made the prediction on a video.
From Steven Spielberg. God, it's so annoying.
And I basically, in a self-deprecating fashion, alluded to the idea that he was texting me and was interested in me for Jurassic Park 4.
Sorry, Steven.
It's very strange.
I'll have to get back to you later about Jurassic Park 4. Boom.
You think there is a cosmic connection that happened now for a reason? Is that a complete coincidence?
I believe it's both. I believe in paradox and humor.
Yeah.
So I think it was absolutely both. I put it out in the universe and it came true in a remarkable coincidence. What was your favorite moment / memory from the other Jurassic movies?
My favorite moment from all the Jurassic movies is in the second Jurassic movie, in The Lost World. There's a sequence where this vehicle is hanging over a cliff and Julianne Moore falls on the glass and the glass starts cracking. And that, to me, is all-time great Steven Spielberg, all-time. There's something about his ability to put you in a situation and assume that you've reached the highest level of suspense and intensity and then add another level. Also, when the kid in the first Jurassic Park film goes into the freezer and you've got the raptor coming to get him, and then the raptor gets in and he's trying to get out, and instead of the kid running out, he cuts to the feet slipping on the ice and just adds this other layer.
Yes.
Every time it shocks and surprises you. It never feels like he's even thinking about it. It feels natural, and God, do I aspire to that. I have that question for you. Do you have memories from other Jurassic movies?
I mean, the cup with the water, that was in the trailer. Because this was an event for me as a kid. It was like the first event movie of my life. I remember seeing the trailer and it was like, and the cup was vibrating and the surface of the water was rippling. I remember that moment very much. I remember when the lawyer sits down on the toilet and then the dinosaur rips everything around him and it's just him praying on the toilet and then right before he gets eaten. That was pretty good. What do you think the key is to increasing suspense? How do you do that so that it doesn't seem contrived?
I think you imagine yourself a child in that scenario every time around, and I think that the fear that you had when you were a kid, it wasn't rationalized by all the things you've learned about the safety precautions we have in place to protect us as humans.
Yeah.
And so I think if you imagine yourself an 8-year-old, whether you're in a freezer on the edge of a boat and a shark's trying to get you, I think the reaction that a child would give is going to be the most honest and real and elemental that you could possibly come up with. I directed the whole movie as a child.
Really?
Absolutely.
That is interesting.
You remember. Seriously, though. I really did. I felt like the entire experience to be able to enter the world through the eyes of a child as we go to the park with these kids. And all the way down to your relationship with Brайs. I feel like it's the way that kids think adults talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means I'm ready to go.
Okay.
What was the moment on set when you realized I am in a Jurassic Park movie? This is happening and this is real.
There were a lot of moments, like the whole movie.
All of the moments.
Every moment. Everything that was reminiscent of the original movie, like the old visitor center, the old Jeep, things like that. Then when we started doing practical effects, like the Jeep crashing and me diving out of the way or the log rolling behind us, those things. Yeah, kind of the whole movie. I mean,
kind of the whole thing.
There wasn't really ever a moment where I was like, oh, this is just another day at the office. The whole time I was like, you're in Jurassic World, don't screw it up. And I felt like we're part of a great big classic movie. Like, hold on to your butts. Let me ask you this. There was at one point an idea where I think Indominus comes out and sees an animatronic T-Rex and then bites its head off and spits it out.
Yeah.
And like very much murders this thing. In a way, as we move forward with technology, CG becomes so good and animatronic becomes a bit more archaic. Do you think that scene in itself was a metaphor for what's happening with animatronics?
Yeah, you know, it was the right choice, and it was something that Steven pointed out. I just love the idea of a dinosaur biting the head off a robot.
I love that too. I was like, that's so sweet.
You know? But that's the problem. I think, like, you know, I get excited because something's awesome. And I don't necessarily think about all of the reasons why how it might be interpreted by people. And Steven has a really good eye for how things will be processed. And he saw that and felt like he didn't want anyone to think that we're saying our CGI dinosaur is biting the head off of an animatronic and destroying animatronics and you know, asserting its dominance in any way, because neither of us feel that way. Oh, okay, this is fun. So the kiss scene.
Yeah.
When you kiss Bryce Dallas Howard surrounded by dying pteranodons as one like kamikazes behind you, what did you think about that moment when I suggested that you do that?
I was really curious to see whether or not it would fit into the movie, because I mean, like, in balancing the tone of this, you've got like the suspense, you've got humor, the high stakes action. And so I think it was smart to get it in that moment. And it was just another example of why I was right to put so much trust in you in this movie, because it never would have occurred to me to add that. I'm thinking like things are flying out of the sky, I've got to save these kids, I got to try to save these people. And so like to think of adding an element of romance in there was something I wouldn't have thought of. And if I remember correctly, we didn't tell Bryce.
No, that was a surprise.
Yeah, we surprised her with that.
They're all so excited.
The idea was we're just going to have Chris Pratt surprise her in front of 200 people.
That was awesome.
And that's the take that's in the movie.
Is it?
Absolutely. And that's why it works.
Yeah.
You know, in moments of high tension and trauma, when people go through something together, there's something very cathartic about, you know, what's something that we know as humans to do when we're just, you know, oh God, I just love whoever's around me. I love you.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that when it comes to tone, this is one of the very few kinds of movies that has to be, you know, funny, adventurous, scary, science fiction, you know, about ethics. And I wanted an opportunity for us to go to the wall on every single one. It was just an awesome experience.
Pretty cool. Spared no expense.
It was a pleasure. And thank you for hanging out on the set of Jurassic World and being in my movie.
Thanks for having me. Well, guys,
all right.
This has been Chris and Colin Take on the World.
Signing off.
We bid you adieu.
We were working on ER, which I was going to direct as a feature film that Michael Crichton had written about his own experiences in medicine when he was an intern. And I asked him one day what he was doing next, what kind of book was he writing, and he said, all I can tell you, because all my books are secret, this book is about dinosaurs and DNA. And it changed my life because I immediately lost interest in ER as a movie and started pumping him for news about what this was all about. And that was the beginning of evolving Jurassic Park into a film.
It was the first time I remember openly defying my parents. I was about 15 years old, maybe 16, and I was grounded from seeing movies for several weeks. And a friend of mine worked at the movie theater and told me, you know, we're going to screen Jurassic Park at midnight with just the theater employees if you can get here. So I snuck out of the house, and I don't encourage other young people to do it, but it was a very indelible memory, and it's one of the most thrilling films ever made. But I didn't just want to infuse the spirit of Jurassic Park into this movie. It was the feeling that I had watching a lot of Stevens movies and the other Amblin movies as a young kid.
Ready and action.
This movie is more about bringing back the feeling that all of those movies gave me. And it's not something that you can define necessarily, and it's not something you can manufacture. It's about infusing it with a soul. It just makes you feel like you want to be on that adventure with those characters.
Wow!
So we're gonna go over in here. We have a room set up with some art.
I got a call from Frank Marshall after I directed a very small film called Safety Not Guaranteed, and Steven saw it, and we came in and we spoke for a little while, and we talked, you know, not about necessarily even what this film was going to be, but about why people love this franchise, why people love these stories, and what are the elements that have connected with people over 22 years that we wanted to try and recapture for a new generation.
He had a story to tell. He didn't just come in and say, I'd like to render my services directing the 4th installment. He came in with an actual story, and just on paper, even before there was a screenplay, his story worked. The eye goes right to the visitor center, the central visitor center.
We also made sure to put a fence so you don't get eaten if you go swimming on this side.
Right.
Steven had the idea to make it a fully functioning theme park. And then the other idea that he brought forward, which I thought was fascinating, is let's make a movie about our relationship with animals on our planet right now, but replace them with dinosaurs.
Blue! Blue! Watch it.
And what if humans and dinosaurs have been coexisting for a while and we get to go to the next level of that relationship? There were a lot of really interesting themes and ideas in that, so we just grabbed onto that and ran with it as far as we could.
He's always been a fan of the characters I write, and I've always been a fan of the stories he comes up with and the plotting and structure he can do. And so when we get together, it all seems to work out and create this cool, unique tone that each of us on our own don't possess, but when we come together, we can make it work.
You made a genetic hybrid, raised it in captivity. She does not even know what she is. She will kill everything that moves.
They begin making hybrids of different dinosaurs, combining them in a way that they never naturally would have been combined, meaning it's a complete manifestation of the hubris of man. Indominus wasn't bred. She was designed. Anyone that knows the Jurassic Park franchise knows that this is not a good thing.
But it's not just dinosaurs running around and something goes wrong. Colin and Derek put a real point of view into this one.
You don't learn anything about these animals except what you want to know. You made them and now you think you own them.
Well, we do own them. We're sitting on a gold mine.
Colin has opinions about corporations doing everything for money and pushing and pushing and pushing the envelope as far as you can.
Did you close the deal?
I did. Verizon Wireless presents the Indominus Rex.
Oh, that's terrible to hear.
I stay involved in the script, in the shaping of the story. And then if the director invites me into the process, I don't like to impose myself, but if the director invites me into the process, you know, and shows me the storyboards and the previs, which Colin did, I love that. My confidence was so high in what Colin was going to achieve.
On a movie like this, especially with a director who's coming off a $750,000 movie, you would assume they would say, meet your cinematographer and meet your costume designer, and they didn't. I was able to choose my team.
There's going to be a version where we go out in there with him, but we also want to do a version where we're behind the bars, and I think this is the behind the bars. So this can cover that? Yeah, absolutely.
I think John Schwartzman has shot some of the more beautiful films that I've seen, and he got excited about it, and we came in right away, and you know, we're going to shoot this thing on film, or we're going to shoot 65 out in the jungle, and so we got very excited just as film nerds, and he's got one of the best teams in the business, and it was extremely collaborative. And I brought in Daniel Orlandi, who actually had worked with Ron Howard on a lot of movies and who Brайs knew very well. And Ed Verreau, you know, he and I worked very, very closely in trying to design a world that's not sci-fi. It's not completely out there, a world of the future. And I think that the movie has a very distinct, not just a look, but the way that Jurassic World feels, it succeeds at my #1 goal of the movie, which is to have a kid either look at the website or see the film and say, no, you have to take me there. That's real, right? We're going.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
Well, I initially went about casting, I think in the same way Steven has gone about casting the other films in the franchise, which is I pick the best character actors available.
But you're running, and then when you get right here, you see it, and we go boom, and it goes. We're doing a 3D.
At that time, I wasn't aware that one of the great character actors that I chose was going to become a hugely successful movie star in the.
But he wasn't when you cast him.
Not at all. No, I just cast a great actor.
No, hold your fire. You put 12 amps in these animals, they're never going to trust me again.
I thought he had the chops for this, and Colin believed in him, and I really believed in him too. So it was a bit of a risk, and of course, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, we all thought we were really smart. Even though we didn't make Guardians of the Galaxy, they made us look really smart.
Here we are in the raptor paddock. This is the first scene that we meet Owen, and we also see Owen trying to tame these wild raptors. In fact, that's exactly what they'll look like when the movie's done. Yo.
When you,
Colin's my kind of director. He was like, look, you can't tell anybody, but your character is going to basically be training raptors ultimately for military applications. And I was like, okay, I'm in. That sounds badass.
Ready, 3, 2, 1,
It's a lot of running and jumping and leaping, punching, a lot of action hero moments. But for me, the biggest challenge is to not be goofy, because it's my natural instinct to be a goofball.
And Ty gave me a nice big hug because he's a sweet kid, and I was like, oh, Ty, snapped his neck.
And so before every take, I would have to do this little ritual to be like, don't turn into a dumbass halfway through this take.
Where we have you in reacting to that, and then that whole roof is going to come down. And then you guys are going to come out this way as this Jeep smashes into this wall.
Cut.
Okay?
No rehearsal, one take, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard, I think, is one of the best actresses that we have. And she is absolutely gorgeous and incredible in the movie, and it was so exciting to work with her.
The Indominus Rex, our first genetically modified hybrid, a new species built from scratch. So many great, important things come from technological advancements, but one can become myopic when one doesn't step back and look at the bigger picture. What are the greater implications of this? What are the moral implications of this? And that is what is happening right now at Jurassic World. And Claire is responsible for the park. The implant will shock it if it gets too close to a perimeter fence.
To me, it's Claire's movie. She starts off pretty straight-laced, corporate, very uptight somewhat. It's all about meeting deadlines and margins and profits, and that's how she thinks.
Evacuate the island.
We'd never reopen.
But she ends the movie in a different place where she started.
And everyone, when I'm throwing, just a heads up, I wasn't hired for my throwing skills, so I don't want anyone to get clocked like in the eye.
When I was running with the flare and my shirt was gone and my skirt was ripped up to here and I'm super sweaty and filthy, I was just like, man, Claire has come so far in a 24-hour period. She has just really grown. I'm just really proud of Claire.
You're sure there's nobody else who can fly a helicopter?
We don't need anyone else.
Irfan Khan, Omar Sy, both of the boys, Ty Simpkins, Nick Robinson. These are all great actors. B.D. Wong came back from the first film to play his role again. And I found that all of these people just really wanted to be there.
I just thought the idea was great. You know, we've never seen a full functioning park. And I was just very excited about that. And like, oh man, that's so cool.
Everyone has had that moment where I've seen that little kid come on in their eyes and they're just like, this is like playtime. This is the best.
Did you guys meet yet, by the way? Yeah, I just wanted to come say, hey, I'm Chris.
Hi.
How you
Nice
doing?
to meet you.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
I'm well,
Good.
thank you. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, I'm sure. Sometimes you are on big set and you feel like you are doing a big movie because you feel the pressure. But here it's not like that because of Colin.
He's a special man. The way he deals with the actors is, he finds a moment if he wants to nudge you. It's very delicate and it has a lot of affection and friendliness. I really, really admire that, and as an actor, you need that.
We've got Vincent D'Onoфрио, who, when he saw how nasty his character got to be, he was really excited about it.
You're gonna watch the news tomorrow? There's gonna be a story about how you all saved lives. No, better yet, how your animals saved lives.
You know, you don't approach a role like this thinking of it as the villain. You know, I love my character, and I think my character is right, and everybody else is wrong.
This is happening. With or without you.
We have Jake Johnson, who is an old friend of Colin's and was the star of Colin's other movie.
Open paddock 9.
9? You nuts?
We also have Lauren Lepkus, Judy Greer, Andy Buckley, all wonderful actors that have wanted to be a part of this movie.
Colin keeps pointing out how exciting it is to be in this movie. He'll be like, "You're in Jurassic World. This is Jurassic World," which I think is so cool. I'm like, it is.
And even though the actors may be in a very small part, they really bring credibility and great talent to their roles.
Cut! And cut. Awesome. Cut.
Great. Thank you so much, you guys.
We knew we had to go to a green environment in order to do the jungle work. We thought about Costa Rica. It doesn't really have the same kind of infrastructure that other places have, and it made a lot more sense to go to Hawaii.
Now, is there any way we can do it so we can see this side of him? Can he hug on this side so we can see it?
Yeah, so if the camera's there.
We started our first day at the Honolulu Zoo, and that was going to be the petting zoo. And so we did a few things, we added a few things, we put some flags and stuff up. And then we had actors actually going around in gray suits being the little baby dinosaurs, and kids were riding them and all that stuff. And that's kind of how we started our day. It was a fairly easy day. It gave the crew a chance to kind of coalesce and, you know, kind of work together for a little bit.
I can still ride the Triceratops in 47.5 inches.
This place is for little kids.
All right, cut.
And cut. Cutting.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
And then we began to move out. We moved across the island up over to the Kualoa Ranch, and we did a whole bunch of stuff up there at the loading platform.
What they didn't know at the time is that the soft tissue is preserved because of the iron in the dinosaur's blood generates free radicals.
Good. Now a little bit louder, a little bit more hyped up.
What do you think's gonna happen from you just staring at them?
Look at him and laugh. Cut.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. We had the gyrosphere loading platform, which we built out in Hawaii, and then this gyrosphere, which we didn't shoot that on a soundstage. We had these kids out in this thing, traveling around through the jungle, and that stuff to me feels completely real.
3.
Here's the top. Hawaii did feel like a real Jurassic Park because it was so jungly. I actually felt like I was lost or I was in Jurassic Park.
You'll see like a blur, and then you'll see it's definitely a dinosaur, and then you see it's a dinosaur you've never seen before. And then
it was so beautiful and picturesque, and they had these giant gyrosphere balls on tracks, and they'd have a guy with a remote control driving it along, and I'd just be pretending to maneuver it on the joystick. It was pretty awesome.
Go! Go! Go!
Hey, go! Hey. And 3, 2, 1, drop! Oh. Drop! Oh. Drop!
Oh. It was pretty physical, and you know, I didn't do any training or anything before this, and so we get here and I'm running down fields trying to keep up with an ATV while there's a supposed Indominus Rex behind us. Some of the days, it was a good workout, kicked my ass. I mean, Ty's in better shape than I am, probably, so I was out there like huffing and puffing.
Ball pass, please. Ball pass. I didn't say we'd make it easy. Move over to gyro.
we gotta jump.
Yeah. Basically, they're being chased by our big bad dinosaur.
1, 2, come on.
And they come across a waterfall, and that's their only way to get away from the dinosaur that's going to eat them. It's a 40-foot waterfall. The boys, they did all of the beauty shots at the edge, and then when we jumped, we had 2 doubles jump off.
Action!
We saw them go down in the water, and then we go back down below and have the boys go underneath the water and pop up like they did the jump themselves.
They put me in a helicopter, and I could look down and see the Indominus Rex paddock, and I was like, man, I'm definitely in a Jurassic movie. It was quite an introduction.
The park needs a new attraction every few years to reinvigorate the public's interest.
The paddock, the idea was that way up country, away from prying eyes, they had built this large containment for this new asset that was not just a dinosaur, it was something else. So we had to build at least 2 walls of this paddock and a big observation room. We built a fairly big set.
It's built out in the jungles in Kauai. We're talking 90-foot walls, maybe 150 yards wide, 2 stories. All the greens were brought in. I mean, it was amazing.
Dinosaur.
Great. According to my watch, I just ran 65 miles an hour. Oh,
that's cheetah speed.
Oh, sorry, my watch actually isn't capable of telling that. Sorry. Just an estimate.
Chris Pratt's going to give this message here.
All right, listen. Cars, they fall from the sky sometimes.
Right, thanks, Chris. Okay, here we go, guys.
Construction.
We did a lot of practical stuff in the paddock, and so that was kind of the first time that we kind of started getting into a little bit of action on Jurassic World.
3, 2, 1, go!
We're about to shoot Eric Edelstein, who is an unfortunate paddock worker who's about to be eaten.
If you look like me, you're not going to make it to the end of the movie. It's a giant bummer.
3, 2, 1, pull! Yeah, baby!
We're not allowed to take video. Don't tell anybody.
Thank you so much. You really make me look like I know what I'm doing, and I couldn't do this without you. Thank you. Have an incredible 3-day weekend.
Thanks for letting me do that. Crazy.
We'll get the moment when its head comes up and she goes, and that'll be its like last breath of life moment. I think
Are you with us, Colin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Colin said we need to have a working animatronic in this movie because that's how this series of movies was built.
What I wanted to do is use animatronics in a moment of intimacy. And we had a scene where they were going to come upon this fallen apatosaurus who was going to die. And so John Rosengrant and the guys from Legacy all came in with this extraordinary creature that they'd created.
The day that we had our one animatronic dinosaur on the set was a very special day. It was sort of an homage and an honor to Stan Winston's wonderful animatronics on the first Jurassic.
So it starts from the head, which Rich operates. Trevor takes the neck. And I do the breathing operation. Different bladders in the throat and mouth.
That's great. The exhale as she falls is beautiful. Did you hear that, Jason? Your exhale when she was falling was great.
Hey, only take 3.
And action.
There's a very emotional scene where this thing is dying in my arms. And so it was really helpful to be holding something real that looks so real and is so beautiful.
As puppeteers, it's making these things live and perform. It's bringing a character to life. Unfortunately, in this case, it's bringing one to its death. But in doing that, it's telling a story.
There's something almost spiritual in that scene as the life leaves this animal. You don't feel like it's a robot ceasing to be operated. You feel like the spirit and the soul of this creature is going up into the sky, and that's a testament to those guys. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Okay, she's starting to go. Not too much life left. She's going. 1, 2, 3, 6. She's gone.
When Chris and I were getting to act with that animatronic dinosaur, there was such a performance, and getting to see that and interact with that, it was really emotional.
I just wanted to take a second. It was just such a huge honor and a privilege for me in my life as a filmmaker and as a person to have John Rosengrant and Legacy here doing this today. It meant a lot to me, and I know a lot of us. Footprints, right? So you just move right in, right when he's done talking, you're there, and you meet him.
Okay, let's try it again.
We shot in Oahu and Kauai, and then we moved to New Orleans. It was about 50% Hawaii, 50% Louisiana.
One of the interesting things about being here in New Orleans is we're able to take advantage of not only the exteriors, but all of these great sets that we built here at the Big Easy Studios, which is on the NASA campus.
We had 6 stages here that we had sets in. So we had the visitor center, and then we had connected to the visitor center is the genetics lab. So and this was all part of the Jurassic World experience. We also had the old visitor center and the control room, which is where a lot of the movie takes place.
Let me be as clear as I can. No velociraptors are going to be set loose on this island.
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
We were just shooting in control room, and so much is going on, and it's big. All the computers, all the gadgets to control things, and then there's so many sections of the screen where you can see what's happening where in every corner of the park.
Send a team of rangers out there, bring them in.
Security, we need a search and rescue in the valley.
The control room is a place where you can really knit everything together. And so by the time we got there, we knew the movie and we knew what we'd shot, and if there were things that we had to tweak to make sure that everything made sense, we could.
She goes like, "No, I'm coming to you, call a helicopter." I already did. Just get here now. It's on the way, just get here now. Yeah.
We didn't do any reshoots on this movie. And I think the control room is what allowed us to cover all of the bases that a lot of people usually have to cover in reshoots, which is, this didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out. Let's go fix that. There was nothing that we couldn't fix in that control room.
Her tracking implant, she clawed it out.
How would it know to do that?
She remembered where they put it in.
We not only did a lot of interior sets, but we were able to build some of our sets outside. We have the Raptor Arena, which we built.
We had always been talking nebulously about the scene where Owen trains the raptors. I'm like, how do you train a raptor? Like, what does that look like? Where are you? What building are you in? And so I had to kind of describe what it looked like. And, I said I had this crisscross catwalk that's so many feet up above the ground, and it's, enclosed. And then I show up, and it's exactly how I described it.
Really, really a cool set. I mean, that thing is built of steel and cement. That is no joke. That thing could house dangerous animals for hundreds of years and would never break down. It's really, really sharp.
And then we took over the abandoned Six Flags theme park.
It was under 6 feet of water as a result of Hurricane Katrina. And so they let the park go, and it just sits there completely unused. But it happens to have a parking lot that's about the size of 10 football fields. So we went and built certainly the biggest set that I've ever built that just goes on and on and on.
What Colin was really going for, and I think that we hit this pretty well, was he wanted it not to be sort of Coney Island-like. He wanted it to feel more like a really hip, elegant destination.
We wanted to create this high level of luxury. We wanted it to feel like a Fiji resort with dinosaurs.
One of the very fun things for me was my good friend Jimmy Buffett's restaurant, Margaritaville, is sort of the marquee restaurant there on the main street.
We put in Winston's, which was shout to Stan Winston. There were a lot of little buried things like that.
You develop the set and you build it, and there's this long design curve and building curve, and then all of a sudden there's 800 extras walking around.
The most we ever had was 1,000, but we dressed several thousand because they, every day we had new people. They wanted new people all the time.
Please keep it quiet so that the crew can continue to work. We are rehearsing inside. Thank you very much.
And the first big day that we had 1,000 extras, I think we got to work at 3 a.m. and started dressing extras. We'd pre-fit a lot of them. We had pre-fit the uniforms, but we had a lot of people coming in that day. And I like to, when an extra comes in, you look at them and say, okay, what is your character? So it's kind of fun. It's like you give every extra their 15 minutes of attention to get them dressed and figure out their character.
You look good.
Thank you.
You're done. Nothing else?
No.
All right.
The performances of these extras were incredible. I mean, they were truly horrified, and there was nothing in the sky.
In Titanic, when they were trying to break open that door and everyone was just, that's what we're going for.
It's amazing how committed they became, and I think everybody shared this truth. They're like, oh my God, we're in a Jurassic Park movie, you guys. And we all just kind of became kids for a day. And it just, I haven't made enough of these movies to not be really enthusiastic all the time. So when you get me on a set with 1,000 people who are all running from, you know, flying dinosaurs, there's an infectious energy to that.
And cut it!
That's pretty good.
I don't think that anyone is ever going to stop being obsessed with dinosaurs at all. And so these movies, I think, in a way, will always be relevant. But I think this movie, in particular, at this moment, is very timely. It's almost like a cautionary tale. We see the consequences of ethics not being as developed as technology.
Which was always Michael Crichton's dream. He took a very moral interest in his own story about just because we can invent something, should we? And that was a big theme of the first film, and I think that really echoes throughout Jurassic World.
And it's a fine line to walk, and I think that's why me, as a fan of Jurassic Park, I feel comfortable knowing that it's in the hands of Colin, because he is also a fan.
To be able to be surrounded by people who were so thrilled, they knew it was a special time, they knew it was a special moment.
You know, we kind of feel like we snuck into the party.
This is so fun. You know how fun this is? This is so fun.
And action! I feel like I was a child getting to make a movie with, you know, all the big lights and the cameras. And that spirit that we had on set, I think, is infused into the movie, and I think you feel it when you watch it. Able to see their faces and the roof behind them.
Correct.
So
The
that
roof,
thing goes
a
down.
weight comes through the roof, which is supposed to be a dinosaur head. I imagine there's a beat or two right, and then they ixnay of the amscray, and then this car goes flying.
Ready and action. Action, we'll do the push and the hand up. Once the dinosaur lands right here, he's on top of the guy, right? So it's like, boom, right in our face.
These really incredible and wonderfully talented people who are the best in the business have created dinosaurs that look better than anything you have ever seen in your life.
These dinosaurs have personality and life, and we created real characters with them. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than what we did. It's spectacular.
The dinosaurs just look a lot more realistic than they ever had been before. What that adds up to for the audience is they're just a heck of a lot scarier.
Ready and action. Crash!
It all starts on the set. It all starts with how the dinosaur is going to fit in the scene and even how the actors are reacting to it. They have to know just where to look. They have to know what degree of fear they're supposed to be. So we do what we can to make that part of it the best it possibly can be, so we've got the best material to work with.
All these tennis balls are tracking markers for us so that when the dinosaur comes through, we can track the ground plane and get it correctly so that when she steps, it looks like she's actually making contact with the ground.
All the way over and action. Wait for it, Eric. And now, move.
It's become an art form. Actors reacting to something that's not there and convincing us that it is there.
So you want to imagine it's where my fist is, and you guys want to focus right here.
Colin, he tells me what dinosaurs are there. When they say action, I just believe that there's a dinosaur right there. I'll be terrified, you know?
You have to rely on people to be able to use their imagination. And head turn. To turn away, chin forward.
What's been so great while doing this movie is that Colin has kept us all in the loop as to what we're seeing. They have built these heads of the dinosaurs that they bring to set.
We named her Darcy. This is Darcy.
That are certainly not life-size, but they're pretty scary to look at and extremely detailed.
You got to sort of reverse engineer every moment.
So we start on here, pretty big wide.
And so there were a couple of things that the guys at ILM invented just for this movie. They created this app where you could hold up an iPad and shoot it at your frame and the dinosaur would be there.
We can put our dinosaur model into it. We can actually visualize how big it is. We can do things like rotate it, move it around in the environment. We can add some lighting, things like that.
They also show us the computer graphics, rudimentary computer graphics of what the sequence is going to look like, so we can see for ourselves, what is happening at any given moment and where we are in the context of that.
For the action sequences, we were sticking very closely to the previs.
Hey, here we go. Roll, please. Rolling.
What if we make like a little circle here with like pink string or something that everybody stays out of that circle?
We're not going to live happily ever after with the dinosaurs. 3, 2, 1, go. That's not going to happen. So you know that there's going to be some kind of interaction with dinosaurs.
Just run straight there and be like screaming. Ah! And then it's going to yank.
ILM's going to go, no, he's going to be over there. We're going to move him this way, and then he's going to hit you here. And so definitely a collaboration with them. Go! And that's a little bit of the hard part because, you're interacting with something that's not there.
You're
a little dizzy though.
Yeah, you'll be all right. And so a lot of the stuff we did was trying to recreate of how a body would fly if it got hit by a dinosaur and all those aspects that nobody really knows and just kind of trying to create it.
Hey everybody, my name is Colin. I'm the director of this movie. I just want to let you know you are really running from dinosaurs right now. This is actually happening. So if you were ever really afraid of anything, this is real. Believe it, you're not acting. Find that fear.
For the Pteranodon attack, we had days where we had, hundreds of people out on the main street, screaming, yelling.
It's going to get really crazy in a minute, really crazy.
On those same days, we actually had 20 to 30 stunt people that were dressed up like the other tourists, and we had them do some pretty specific actions for things that we thought we would want to hit later. There are moments that kind of blend into the overall mayhem that was created out on set.
So, Bird.
What was so much fun was you could take cues off of what all of the people were doing. Some people, if they would even put their hand up like they were flicking something away, they would be a candidate for potentially having a dimorphodon on their back.
It was actually a pretty good handshake between both doing practical stunts and also the visual effects.
When the camera is here and it's moving this way, but don't just stand there, you little boom. but British.
Zara's death is a big kind of moment in the Pteranodon attack sequence. A lot of very complicated beats and a lot of complicated visual effects beats as well.
I'm about to die in like a very cool way. They're gonna pull me up on that crane, straight up in the air. There's like 8 people around me. It's so that I don't really die, because that's a possibility. My mom would be upset.
Take a mark.
She runs on into camera. She has no wires on her. The camera moves around the boys and sees their reactions to what's going on. And by the time we circle back around the boys, the stunt crew has come in, hooked the wires onto her harness, so that as we come around and land, you can press the button and fling her out of frame.
All of the stuff you see with her is actually her doing those stunts, and we're adding the dinosaurs around her and interacting with her. It's a pretty amazing piece of stunt work. Actors generally don't do as aggressive stunts, and she was really game to do whatever it took.
You can see in the movie there's no face replacement. That's all her.
Then we got her into a tank and actually tied her up, and they were yanking her up and down out of the water.
I've been pulled on a harness, dropped from a crane. I've been dropped in the water. I've been held underwater. I've been pulled out of the water, dropped in the water again, held out of the water, and then finally eaten by a giant water dinosaur.
I just think it's the most epic Jurassic Park death I could possibly imagine.
During this Pteranodon fight on Main Street in front of those hundreds of extras,
Hey, camera, take 2.
I'm fighting an imaginary Dimorphodon. Halfway through, they say, pause. Marty, one of our stuntmen, runs over, jumps on top of me, and starts going, ah, like this as I'm choking him. So now I'm fighting Marty. So I'm scared because Marty's giving me this scary look.
What was really nice about that dinosaur is because it's a human size, we could replace that person afterwards with our CG Dimorph.
Reference dinosaurs, reference raptors, guys that'll be wearing these gray suits and this raptor heads. You know, that will help me as an actor. It'll also help the animators in terms of having a reference, a real eye line, something real and physical that you can look at and react to.
You're going to be like working together. So it'd be like wolves or trained dogs that are all moving up to a point and looking around trying to find their prey. Anything that's a little bit more bird-like is helpful. So instead of doing a head turn like that, if it's
There's one direction, just don't look silly. You weigh reality and drama, just kind of intuiting these really fantastic creatures that probably had a certain level of intelligence and imbuing them with a personality.
And action! Oh, shit! Easy, boy.
It's different than just working to like a mark for an eye line. You're actually working with the raptor. So you know where their eyes are and you know their movements and seemingly just like a raptor.
A lot of actresses won't even do their off-camera stuff. Bryce not only does all of hers, she does all of the dinosaurs off camera as well. When Owen has his moment with Blue, this is what he's seeing right there.
The actors with the sort of those like raptor helmets, they have to be able to get into the mindset of how a raptor moves and the sort of the predatory qualities that give the actors like visual cues to make them even scarier.
Okay. All right, good.
The animators back at Industrial Light and Magic are going to try and make them feel like real animals. That's really, really important to Colin on this film.
Cut. Great.
Come on. Open top, fire into hole, one shot.
And action.
Go, Chris.
Cover.
One of the things that's missing when we finish here in a couple of weeks is we have all these great scenes, but there are no dinosaurs in them.
You're looking at its eye. Its whole mouth is right here, and its eye is right here, and it's...
And so that becomes a job that is assigned to ILM. We turn over a whole sequence to ILM, and Colin designs these sequences and what the dinosaurs are doing in each one of them. And now, as things go on, we're going to be seeing our dinosaurs come to life.
I'm thinking kind of lifts her up, and that claws the leg.
Claws the legs.
And Kylosaur's butt goes up in the air and then slams down.
The real stars of the movie are the dinosaurs, so your visual effects house, ILM in this case, is one of your closest partners.
ILM can render things at a level that is completely photoreal at this point. They had Dennis Muir in there, and he was able to come in and actually push them to not let the dinosaurs look like they did in the previous movies.
We're trying to be knowledgeable of the history of Jurassic, but then trying to make this movie new and amazing because, you know, technology has moved on and it's very different now. The camera moves will be different. The dinosaurs are going to act differently. We're using motion capture. In some cases, we have full muscle and skeletal structures underneath our dinosaurs. When you see them walk, you're going to see muscles flexing. You're going to see more skin detail than ever before. We're doing close-up shots that would never have been attempted before. We're doing close-ups of eyeballs, we're doing close-ups of mouths. We have, you know, drool dripping. There's just more aggressive shots than you would have really done in the past.
The Indominus Rex is our new animal that we created for the film and was going to take us through this adventure.
The thing that I really like is how deep that goes and how hard these lines, how hard the eyebrow ridge line is.
The properties of the Indominus Rex came from the needs of the story and ways that we would be able to make its genetic makeup the key turn of the narrative. What we did is make sure that everything that it can do is an attribute of some other animal in the animal kingdom. And so if you're going to have it camouflage, make sure it has cuttlefish genes or something that can camouflage that's in it.
How do we make something look menacing? How do we make her look really menacing? The teeth would always be exposed, like a crocodile. We pulled the chin out a little bit more, which gave it kind of that underbite, which really adds to that feeling of menace.
And then the other thing was sort of like the shape of the eye, the size of the eye, the color of the eye. It's based off of a goshawk, which is like a North American bird of prey. So there was all these things that we were doing, taking from the natural world.
The raptors certainly aren't entirely friendly. At the beginning, middle, or the end of this movie, they're still dangerous predators. We certainly didn't want to defang them in any way.
You don't scare me.
We just wanted to take this relationship that had been evolving over all three pictures to the next level.
They're a character in this film. They're not just these killing machines that you see every so often. They actually have a pretty big role in this film. We have a lot of close-ups with them and they have to actually emote. And so we actually did quite a bit of motion capture on the raptors.
1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Up. Hey!
It was a new kind of interesting thing for us to do because they're not human at all and we're motion capturing humans to be raptors. In our initial test, it actually gave us some really interesting and neat behaviors that oftentimes are hard to kind of keyframe that you get out of motion capture. Another one of our new dinosaurs was the Mosasaurus, and Colin really wanted something in water because that would set it apart from all the other dinosaurs we've seen. We really haven't seen one in the water.
Okay, folks, let's see if she's still hungry after already eating today.
I showed you this image of the Mosasaurus coming out of the water and eating a shark. And I kind of realized in the moment, oh God, he's eating a shark. Is Steven going to think that I'm making some kind of statement about Jaws here? And I wasn't, and you were on board with it.
We did some initial studies of how it would come out of the water. Well, if you look at a humpback whale, it weighs 50 or 60 tons, but it's very easily able to breach and come completely out of the water and splash back down. So it's not impossible for an animal that size to be able to do what we're seeing the mosasaur can do.
And then as that's happening, they kind of go like this. I turn into an audience member when I see these shots come in. It not only looks spectacular, but it's so intense to watch these animals in the same space as these actors. And I forget what we shot, and it feels like we just shot this dinosaur. Action, go! It's extraordinary, and that's a place where I just sit back and become a fan immediately.
Hi, I'm Chris Pratt, and welcome to the Jurassic World Control Room, where we take you behind the scenes and show you what it took to make this movie.
There's an American Navy man here, part of a research program one of my companies is running, Owen Grady.
I know who he is.
His animals.
Jarrett Connolly and I have a kind of hero that we felt was appropriate for this film, and we create a mystery and a question that you want to have answered. And so by the time you meet him, you're so intensely focused and interested on who this person is actually going to be. We have Chris Pratt as Owen Grady, who you don't meet until about 15 minutes into the movie, and yet you hear about him and you hear about what he's doing, and we build up the legend of this man. And so when you finally see it, where you rise up and you see him silhouetted against the sun, and then he says, "Eyes on me."
Eyes on me.
As a hero, to have an iconic entrance is kind of a requisite, especially with the kind of classical filmmaking that we were applying to this, because it's a Jurassic Park movie.
Owen! Just wants to teach people some humility. You know, Owen is an animal trainer, so I started in my research process just talking to people who train vicious animals. There's a guy named Randy Miller out of Big Bear, California. He has a company called Predators in Action, and he trains all kinds of giant animals for simulated attacks in the movies. And so I got to go up to his place in Big Bear. He showed me the ranch, and I got to see him work with these animals. And so some of the finer nuances of controlling the animals and just the techniques, that kind of stuff, I got to see firsthand from a guy who actually does it in real life. So that was one of the ways that I did a little research to try to create an organic bond between man and beast in this movie.
How many lives would that save?
One of the goals with the film was to create a ride that kids and adults could go on and have a very intimate, up-close experience with the dinosaurs. So what was created was the gyrosphere, and it always was a sphere, and it always moved around in a ball, but it never made sense. Up until the very end, we never really asked the question, how does this work? Like, how does this actually function? And if this was in our real world, what's making this move forward? We kind of reverse engineered it, and we went back to the fundamentals of this ball of glass and a wheel on the bottom that was able to articulate in any direction, and a tire that could, with traction, that would move this thing forward. And we felt that as long as this thing felt like it could actually work today on our planet, we would buy it. It does. There are things you can buy, and we had one in the office. You can use your phone to actually navigate, a little ball around. Me having that in the office and seeing the ball move around and actually have traction with the ground and actually work made me feel okay about the whole thing.
Enjoy the ride.
Here we go.
I have a history with motorcycles, and it's not a great history. I fall off them all the time. I've never been a great motorcycle rider. My confidence quickly outgrows my skill, and so I'm tentative for a while, and then I think, oh, I got this, and then I gun it, and then I fall and nearly die. Well, I did a lot of motorcycle training for this movie. It's pretty neat. It's kind of iconic. It's like I felt like Steve McQueen. I'm riding this old school motorcycle through the woods in the dark, right at the camera, slowing down and feathering the clutch and like looking up at the camera. I don't know. I never really have felt like a movie star before, but in that moment I came close.
We have a sequence that we called Zero Dark Raptor, and that to me was a kind of aesthetic that I know largely from playing video games. There's a look that we have in Call of Duty of moving forward, looking through a kind of grainy video aesthetic with cameras that have been mounted to the heads of these animals as they track down and kill humans. And we thought it would be as scary as it is for me to play horror video games, to only have the sequence rely on the perspectives of either the people or the animals that were coming to kill them, which we shot in the jungle in Hawaii. We had a lot of different methods, honestly, because we weren't exactly sure which one was going to work. But the stuff that worked really worked. And it felt like these guys were getting taken down by something that was alive. And I think there is a true sense of fear and surprise and shock because it feels so just sloppy and dirty and disorienting, the way that I think it would feel if these animals were coming at you from all different directions. And that was really our goal with everything. If it wasn't truly horrifying, it went out, and we found that actually a shorter version of the sequence was better. We didn't use any music. We kept it silent with only the sounds of blood-curdling death and the screams of hungry raptors. The final sequence was not one that was improvised at all. That was the one time where we actually had to be extremely precise according to a plan that we had worked out months in advance when we did the previs on this sequence. And so using this motion control system, we were able to take our actors through a series of moves that would connect to create long, fluid shots. And they're so big and so epic and so naked that it puts everything on ILM. You don't just get to cut away to something else that looks cool. Every single moment has to feel real. There's a 360-degree shot where we leave Bryce Dallas Howard on the ground, and we come all the way up around two giant dinosaurs fighting, and all the way back around the other side and land on Bryce Dallas Howard, who is crawling in the other direction. Not only did her performance have to be perfect, but that shot actually was 3 different pieces, and we would have to bring the camera up into one spot, reset everyone, moving 150 people around in a circle as we try to create this one shot. When you see it in the movie, ILM was able to knit these things together so it feels completely seamless. The second shot that was even longer, basically taking these 2 animals down the street as they crash into the sides of these buildings, we actually put a camera on the back of a motorcycle and drove the motorcycle inside a building, following our actors, and then back outside the building as the camera leaves them behind and finds the dinosaurs. It was extremely complex, and it's not something that I even entirely understand. It involved ultimately hundreds of people to make work, and it's a sequence I am so proud of, and I am so grateful to everybody who was involved, because I just think it's one of the most spectacular dinosaur battles I have ever witnessed, and I won't say ever will, because you never know. Derek Connolly and I had to find a way to do something that would be as visceral and intense and scary and awesome as the ending of Jurassic Park. We learned from Steven Spielberg, and Steven knows better than anyone how to withhold information and to withhold some of the pleasures that exist in the context of a movie until the right moment. And what we knew we had is who I consider both the all-time villain and the all-time hero of Jurassic Park in the Tyrannosaurus Rex. We also needed to combine that with a moment of victory and a brave, heroic move from Claire, who I considered to be the main character of the film, because it's her emotional arc that we're following. And when Claire realizes that we need more teeth, it is her instinct to run down and lead the T-Rex to face off with the Indominus Rex. And that to us echoed back to the kinds of big, cheering, bring down the house audience moments that we loved when we were a kid. And it was just us asking each other, like, what would make us just tear the seats out of the theater and burn them in the streets with excitement. And that was it.
You know, seeing it on screen, it's movie magic. And in the process of making it, there are moments that are very surreal, and you have a lot of fun, but like anything, like a magic act in Las Vegas, it's work. It's work, it's preparation, and to pull it off and to have your audience captivated is the result of thousands of people coming together to you know, make something that's really extraordinary Welcome to Jurassic World Visitor Center.
The new visitor center was something that was utilizing technology, but just felt like a modern museum.
Please, come with me. I'll give you a brief history of neo-paleontology. As you can see now, dino-sized.
We wanted to have something that brought people back to the memory of the John Hammond character.
I don't know if that's Ben or Jerry, it was one of them.
We wanted a place where kids could learn absolutely as much about dinosaurs as they would ever want to know.
Now this thing is badass. This is the Mosasaurus. And then here, of course, the P is silent.
This park brings people from all over the world. And when you go in the visitor center, you'll see a lot of the images on the screen are in multiple languages.
Elevator de la Escapula is a scientific term for how Tyrannosaurus Rex used to use their heads as elevators to lift cavemen up and down. This is all based on science. As you can see, this science doesn't include the men who clearly walked with dinosaurs, I think 3,000 or 4,000 years ago.
All of this was just wish fulfillment stuff. We got to sit down and say, all right, what do I want to see if I get to go to Jurassic World?
Saracen, Guaymin, Admin, and Thymine. Same four things in everything that ever lived.
This part of the exhibit was built by a girl named Amber. I don't know why she put her name on it so big. She probably is related to one of the execs at Universal or something. And that is a brief history on neo-paleontology with Chris Pratt. Peace him out.
You see that? Okay, that's what I was saying. It could camo. But that paddock is mostly infrared cameras, so the only way it could hide from thermal is if it could change its heat signature.
No animal can do that.
I know, that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Show it again.
You got this.
This is what it would have been like.
What?
Dinosaurs never went extinct. People just wandering around, scared all the time.
People wouldn't be here if they never went extinct.
I think we're going in circles. Don't you think we should drop some kind of a search grid or something? Ugh, I've seen those kids 3 times since they were born. 2 of those were funerals. I never visit. I never call. My sister's right. I'm an island.
It's messy to have other people in your life.
Yeah, but I like people. I mean, most people.
Humans are an overrated species.
You know, I really underestimated you. I've been treating you like some kind of Neanderthal. There's actually a lot more to you. I just get so wrapped up in all of my personal What are you doing?
Look, I know you're used to watching your assets from behind glass, but out here we're on their turf. You need to cover up the smell of that vanilla-scented lotion you put on before you came to see me.
Why do you always... I don't smell like vanilla.
We consider for a minute that I might actually know a little more about something than you do.
Oh.
Ready?
No. No. I'm perfectly capable of doing this myself. Did I miss a spot?
Yeah, just get that area. Oh, God.
What?
No, I didn't mean, you didn't have to get it on your face. Which is okay. Did that get in your mouth? Here. Just saying you overdid it is all.
I'll take that tequila now.
Gearing up the animals now. How long before they're ready? Hard to say. Handlers are pushing back. Then push back harder.
So, this is who you've been spending all your time with.
What can I say? She gets me.
What's the holdup? Let's roll!
This ain't a good idea. Especially if it works.